Hi friends, good afternoon, good evening, sorry. So here, this is a very quick update on the market. We can see that what's going on right now. We are still in the bear zone. So I think the bull market is not anytime soon, especially when it's just very recently that the interest rate has went up and interest rate went up to try to curb inflation in the US. And we see over here just yesterday, the market has closed lower. And today is Tuesday pre-market and we see that pre-market is also big. So I think we should still be in the bearish zone. I don't see anytime soon that we will be in a bull market. So and also very obviously, the market is creating a lot of lower lows. So just to be careful if you are trying to be more bull bias if you are trading, and just take note that anything can happen if you are trying to enter at this point, regardless whether you are shorting or trying to long the market, because now it is very clear we are in the support zone. Okay, so here this is a very quick update on what's going on for the S&P 500 right now. We just take a look at some of the news that is on. So firstly, maybe just very recently, we have this thing where the Malaysia, they are going for early election, and PM Ismail Sabri, they have just dissolved the parliament. So not much to comment regarding this news. It's more of just trying to be aware of for ourselves what is going on with regards to our neighbors, and see what will it be like for Malaysia, because I do understand that Malaysia constantly there is a lot of um, not so nice sentiments regarding how their country is being run. So hopefully we can see it will be a very interesting election, because we will see that a lot of sentiments will be different sentiments will be pushed around, will be voiced out, and then we can see how this election will turn out. And is it for some form of political move? We will never know. But of course, this is something that we should try to look out more for, because really, there is a lot. The most rampant thing that is happening in Malaysia is that people are accusing a lot of corruption issues, and sometimes calling for an election is a way for these people to maybe be acquitted of their charges, or maybe it's also a way to allow existing parties to hold on to power, so that they can continue to punish their political opponents. And therefore therefore this upcoming election will be a very interesting one, because previously we also the most prominent case in Malaysia right now, the previous PM, Mr. Najib, is already being incarcerated along with his wife, and also Mr. Mahathir, Dr. Mahathir, is also out on the spotlight right now, and perhaps maybe he will also run for election. Who knows? Right? So this is what's happening in our neighbor side. So let's move on to more local news. So this is recently the biggest news that for the past 2 weeks, Singapore have introduced property cooling measures, stricter borrowing criteria, and tighter limits for HDB loan. And one of the things that is striking to me is that now homeowners, they have to wait for 15 months after they sell their property before they can buy a HDB resale flat. And that means to say private homeowners, they will be so-called homeless. They do not own a home for 15 months if they have the intention to buy HDB resale flat. So during this transition period, it's going to be very difficult for them. And the only route they can go is, of course, to rent. And that also means to say that I'm not sure whether this is correct, but after 15 months, doesn't mean they will own a HDB resale flat soon, because I think only after 15 months, then they can start to offer sellers that are selling their HDB flat. So this is number one thing. The other thing is quite striking is that, the HDB loan to value limit has been lowered to 80% previously from 85. Even previously, it was actually 90%, but now it has been lowered all the way to 80%. And to put it into perspective, so let's say, for example, HDB home is about $500,000 in valuation. And for previous homeowners who are still in the era of 90%, that means to say they only need to come up with $50,000, regardless from CPF or from cash. But now 80%, that means to say they need to cough up another $50,000, which total up to 100,000, and that can mean a lot to new homeowners, because that's double, and that's double the amount that they have to come up with, which sometimes more often than not, when it comes to middle income families, it will set them back for maybe another 2 or 3 years, because that's 50K we are talking about. So this is one of them. And also now they are also trying to make their stress test a bit stricter, which is this part. So previously they were, at least for residential properties, they were using 3.5% to calculate TDSRs and MSR, all these kind of things. But now they are using a 4% rate to do stress tests. So this is, in a way, will also be will also affect the amount of loan that we can get from the bank, and also it means that we have less room to play with our TDSR. So same thing for non-residential. Previously it was 4.5 and now it's 5%. So Yes, unfortunately, this is going to be the case. I think government has also recognized that property prices has been increasing at a very unsustainable rate, and this is their way. Albeit it will affect a lot of people, but no choice. They have to do this. If not, property prices will just keep skyrocketing. So this is what is happening in local news. And so let us move on to somewhere that is a bit further away from home, which is the Russian-Ukraine conflict. Actually, maybe we can start with U.S. and Russia conflict. So this was news that is also 2 weeks back. The Nord Stream gas leak, which is also quite a big topic and quite a big conflict between the European and the US and also the Russian countries, because the Nord Stream gas pipeline is actually one of the very important pipelines, right, to supply gas into the European region. But now the US is blaming Russia that they are the one who sabotaged the Nord Stream gas pipeline, and now the Russia say they have evidence that it's the US that is actually they are the ones who sabotage the Nord Stream pipeline. So we really don't know who is behind this thing. Both of them are just blaming each other. But honestly speaking, I think also really in the grand scheme of things, it's really just a political move. US is trying to the US side is trying to put as much blame on Russia as possible, so that it gives them perhaps some sort of leverage to punish Russia even more. And then Russia, of course, is trying to justify why they have a like so-called a military operation in the Ukraine. So now they have to push back every blame and then try to justify all the actions they have been doing past far. So of course, Vladimir Putin, he will definitely say that it's always in the name of sovereign rights and also trying to protect the Russian people, all these things. So yeah, both sides have their own story. It's really just a very big political move. And the downside for the other people, other countries, is that in the short term, we will still be facing a lot of supply chain issues, especially the gas side. So then, of course, this is not all. Now there is even more new conflicts coming up, which is this part. Previously, the there's this Kerch bridge that was destroyed, which is the bridge that is linking Russia to the Crimean Peninsula. And now, just 2 days after, there were missile strikes into Ukraine, and now the G7 leaders are trying to condemn Russia for all these things. So you see, there is a lot of things that are piling up right now, and we can previously the Russian-Ukraine conflict, it was supposedly Vladimir Putin is trying to end this conflict as soon as he can. So he is trying to annex the entire Ukraine within the shortest amount of period of time. But we know that it's really not working to his favor. And after that, he had to activate his reservist people to enter this conflict. But you see what happened. The people who were called to reservist, a lot of them ran away, because honestly, I think the normal Russian citizens, they are not interested in this conflict. So and therefore, we can see that there is really a lot of desperation that's going on for Vladimir Putin's side and the Russian side. So we're really not sure how the Europeans and the West side countries will actually react. To me, I feel that I don't they I, perhaps they feel that it's not serious enough for them to interfere, and therefore they are only paying lip service to all these conflicts, asking Russia to stop all this nonsense. So this is what um, I'm more than other kind of news that I'm also observing right now. So of course, I'm not sure whether the West will have some physical intervention, but hopefully let's not go there. Yeah, so I think now they are just trying to make sure that Russia will run out of resources very soon, and therefore they will end the conflict on their own. Yep. So this is how I see things. And yep. Now for the last thing before I say goodbye is that the upcoming CPI inflation numbers, which will be in 2 days, and which explains maybe why the stock market is going down, because I think a lot of people are trying to predict that it may not even go below 8.3%. It might actually go above 8.3%, which is not good news for the market, and therefore they are pricing in that now. So anything near 8.1, near anything below 8.1% or at 8.1% will definitely result in a rally in the stock market. But anything above which, let's say for example 8.2 or anything above 8.3, we will see a very drastic drop again. So I believe if numbers are above 8.3, this particular support line will definitely not be able to hold. It will definitely drop down. But if it's maybe 8.2, perhaps it's not that bad, because I mean, it's already somehow priced in over here ahead of the CPI report. And then if it's 8.1 or below, then good news. I'm going to expect that it's going to be a rally over here. Yep. So that's about it for my update. Thank you so much, folks, for